Free Julian Assange.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Diane. Journalism's not a crime. Exposing the crimes of our government is not a crime.
They're after Julian Assange because they want to send a message to anyone that's going to expose their crimes that they're going to end up paying for it very dearly. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
To be on camera?
Yeah.
Get on there, release Julian Assange.
Brilliant.
He should be out, mate.
Yeah.
Hey, that's
So, if you want justice in the world for yourself and for your family and children, you better stand up for it for everybody else. Because politicians can be very, very dangerous and they can do very, very bad things. And the only thing that's going to protect us from despotic and dictatorial politicians is for the people to stand together and say, we don't want any more of this stuff. It's not necessary anymore. We want justice, we want human rights for everybody. Now, we have someone here that's going to do a welcome to country for our lovely Aboriginal brothers and sisters who have again been ill-treated by authorities. There's no question about that. And we've perpetrated terrible crimes against the Aboriginal people in the process of stealing their property, subjugating them and silencing them and frightening them to be silent, throwing money at them to be silent. Well, we're here to say we're not going to be silent anymore until we start seeing some real justice happening, some proper laws, some proper judgments which are in line with proper human rights and human decency. There's no need for the world to be like this anymore, and we want everybody to come and support us every Friday at 5 o'clock until 7 o'clock. We're here to remind the government that we want some justice and we want some human rights, and they can't hide behind lies in the media and lies they tell on TV and to the media, and the lick-spittle puppet journalists that get paid telling us lies. The truth is out there on the internet if you go and look for it. 9/10 of what you see in the mainstream media is propaganda and lies, and if you do some research you can find out the truth. And we require a critical mass of people to stand together and say to the government, we want this matter fixed. We want Julian Assange released under some sensible conditions.
I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. They are the traditional owners, inhabitants and custodians of this fine land, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. Thank you. I was having a look through the history of Julian and WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks was formed by Julian Assange in 2007. Within a year, the counterintelligence agency of the American Defense Forces produced a document where they said they wished to discredit WikiLeaks and Julian Assange with an unrelenting smear campaign. That's back in 2008. Nearly 14 years ago, March the 8th it was, 2008. So 14 years ago, they started going for Julian. In 2010, on December the 7th, they managed to get the British judiciary to lock him up for 10 days in solitary confinement. He was then placed under house arrest in England, where he spent about 18 months. After that, He sought political asylum at the Ecuadorian embassy and was ultimately granted Ecuadorian citizenship. 7 years later, the American government bribed the Ecuadorian government after they had a change of leadership. They bribed the Ecuadorian government with a $4.2 billion loan. $4.2 billion, that's American taxpayers' money that they were spending. So the then corrupt Ecuadorian president revoked Julian's Ecuadorian citizenship and told the British police they could come in and take him. We've probably all seen that footage of him being dragged out looking quite dishevelled, which was also part of their plan. When he was in the embassy a couple of weeks before they dragged him out, they removed his shaving gear so that he could not maintain his appearance, so that when he was dragged out, he'd look like a discreditable individual. He certainly didn't look his best. He's now been under maximum security, solitary confinement in Her Majesty's Prison, Belmarsh, since 2019. So it'll be 3 years. On April the 11th, it'll be 3 years. He'll be going into his 4th year of solitary confinement. And all due process under the Westminster legal system has been thrown out the window. The once great Westminster legal system is great no more. No other countries will try and copy the Westminster legal system because it's broken. Anyway, on January the 4th last year, 2021, a year and a bit ago, a magistrate in the Old Bailey decided that they wouldn't extradite Julian on health grounds because she'd heard evidence that the conditions in American jails reported by those that had worked in those jails as conditions worse than death. On October last year, 27th and 28th, there was an appeal by the US to extradite him, and they made assurances to the court that they'd look after him and that in fact they'd probably let him serve out his time in Australia. Julian did not appear in that hearing, and as we've since found out, on October the 27th, Julian suffered what's been described as a mini stroke, where he has lost neurological function. He's got a drooping right eye, to add to his other health conditions, including, I believe, a rotten tooth that needs root canal work, that the British will not allow him to have treated. This behaviour is worse than criminal. It's sadistic. It's cruel, sadistic, state-sponsored behaviour. On the 24th, a couple of days ago, the Supreme Court granted permission for Julian's appeal against this decision. So we'll wait now for how many months to decide whether they'll hear the appeal, and then we'll wait another so many months before the hearing takes place. This is called lawfare. He's on remand, but he's being held in solitary confinement.
Like a mass murderer.
Like a mass murderer or a rapist. His treatment is truly sadistic and disproportionate. So folks, I really urge you, Julian's done us a great service. He's revealed the truth about the wars that are waged in our name, that are paid for by our tax dollars. And we now know that these are criminal wars, they're illegal wars, they're invasions. They've got nothing at all to do with our national security. In fact, they work against our national security. These nations that we invade hate us. You know, if there are going to be terrorist actions in our country, it will be as a result of these illegal, immoral wars, where we indiscriminately murder innocent civilians, whole families, babies, everything. But what the hell is going on is the teacup in this straw. Acknowledge there is power, so the solution by the Crown, a 24-hour-a-day indefinite lockdown.
Otherwise, it's such a groovy day. Say one word and we'll beat the birds up to Byron Bay. We can get into Queensland. Perfect for flying. But they all say, come fly with me, let's fly away. Come on, Julian, get on that plane and fly back to Australia. Can you hear us, Scott Morrison? Ring up Joe. So we want him home now. He isn't anything wrong. Oh, once I get you up there, well, the hours are rarefied. Oh, we'll just glide. We'll be starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near. You might even a bed of angels cheer with gift. Otherwise, oh, mama, been a nice day, oh, say one word and he'll beat the birds back to but we think, come fly, let's fly away. Come fly with me, let's fly. Back up, let's fly away. We're trying to remind the politicians to pick up the phone and do something to fix this. They can fix it in 5 minutes. They don't have the guts to ring up the British and the Americans and say, hang on here, we've got to stand up for our own citizenry.
Here's a little piece from
Stand up for our whistleblowers.
Woe to the Crown in London town, your tyranny has no match. You became a joke when you placed his yoke. For revealing crimes, he has done the time. You must extend lost freedom's hand, restore his life to a new sublime. The sweet sounds of Jasmine. So let's make a little bit of noise for Jasmine. Thank you, Jasmine.
They say everything can be replaced, yet every distance is not near. Yet I swear I remember every face of every man who put me here. I see my light go shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, anyway now, I shall be released. They say every man needs protection, yet every man must fall. I swear I see my reflection someplace so high above the wall. I see my light go shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, anyway now, I shall be released. Way down there in that lonely crowd, there's a man who swears he's not to blame. All day long I hear him crying out, shouting out that he's been framed. I see my light go shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, anyway now, I shall be released. I see my light go shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, anyway now, I shall be released. Free Julian Assange!
America, it was beautiful, magical, and all the birds, trees, be singing so happily, oh joyfully, playfully, watching me. And then they sent me away to teach me how to be sensible, logical, responsible, practical, and then they showed me a world where I could be so dependable, oh clinical, intellectual, cynical. There were times when it's a snake, their questions run to me for such a simple man. Won't you please tell me what you are? I know it sounds absurd. Please tell me who I am. say, or they'll be calling you a radical, a liberal, fanatical, a criminal. Oh, won't you sign up your name with that stuff in your acceptable, oh, presentable, a vegetable. There are times where all is asleep, the questions run too deep for such a simple man. Won't you please tell me why we've lost? I know it sounds absurd. Please tell me who I am. Who I am. Who I am. Oh, now here we go. I'm feeling so logical. It's getting unbelievable. Digital. Oh, here we go. What bloody marvelous.
No extradition! No extradition! Our mate! Inmate! Julian Assange!
Inmate! Julian Assange! Julian Assange! Julian Assange!
Julian Assange.
Thank you. If you'd like to come forward and say something in the microphone, Steve will film it and you can be a published speaker. Anyway, if you'd like to see the videos, go to YouTube and search one word, Gong Steve, G-O-N-G-S-T-E-V-E, Gong Steve. Okay, now Karen's going to come up. She's got a few words to say. Thanks, Karen. Let's hear a bit of noise for Karen.
Over a year ago, Julian Assange won his court case in the UK lower court when the judge ruled that he should not be extradited to the United States. Julian would be held under SAMS, Special Administrative Measures there. The US prison where Julian would be sent is described as a fate worse than death by a witness in court. Julian has numerous health issues and the judge knew that going to the US prison system would probably result in Julian's death. He won his court case over a year ago, and yet he is being kept in HM Prison Belmarsh in London. He was not released. He was kept in jail to allow for the US to appeal the decision. He should have been freed. The US appealed the decision and said that Julian would not be kept in prison under SAMS. It was said he could be kept in prison in Australia. That would be a ridiculous option. The Australian Federal Police have concluded he committed no crime. We are not a penal colony for the United States. How can we trust the United States government and their agencies? The same United States government that had the FBI paying and protecting their star witness Siggy Thornton, a pedophile and a fraudster. Thornton has now stated he lied in his testimony that stated he hacked computers at the behest of Julian. The same United States government that spied on Julian and his lawyers and visitors and tried to steal his baby's nappy to conduct DNA tests and planned to kidnap and assassinate Julian. This week we heard that the court has decided to allow Julian's legal team to take up the extradition to be heard at the UK Supreme Court. We await the decision to hear whether Julian's appeal will go ahead. So Julian will stay in prison and this will go on and on. A CIA email on WikiLeaks showed that there was a plan of theirs to keep Julian in the courts for years and years. This is part of the punishment. This is what they want. Misty wrote on Twitter, a photo was taken as Julian sat in a tiny room at Belmarsh, watching a video link as members of the US prosecution argued that he's a malingerer who is faking his ill health, as he literally was having a mini stroke. Think about that. Julian's character has been smeared while lies about his conduct abound. This has been done as a warning to other journalists. They're saying, don't anger us, we will destroy you. We love our friends in the United States. I spent a few months there in my 20s and I found the country to be breathtakingly beautiful, so diverse and wonderful. The people are kind and lovely. We have wonderful supporters of Assange there, but we don't want our journalist, Julian Assange, to go to a United States prison when he committed no crime, to a place where he will be tortured until death. That is not acceptable. That is wicked and malicious. We will not stand by and say nothing. We will call out the travesty of justice. We will call out for the charges to be dropped and for Julian to be freed. Julian is a political prisoner, so call your local MP, demand that Australian leaders phone their US counterparts and demand his release. Free inmate, our mate, Julian Assange. Thank you.
Free Julian Assange!
Free Julian Assange!
This is the 114th week of Julian Assange Sydney Town Hall gatherings. Welcome. Julian Assange remains illegally detained in London at Her Majesty's pleasure because the US has decided to punish him so that the rest of us are dissuaded from following in the footsteps of his innovative journalistic success. The corrupt authorities don't want any more of us revealing the crimes of government and corporations and assisting in the dismantling of their propaganda narratives. The disinformation we have received through our education and the media persists in our memories, colouring our understanding of the world. We are probably all controlled by mainstream narratives to some degree. Even when we disagree with a mainstream narrative, we are probably being controlled by it. The media distract us from more important issues by focusing our attention on minor or unimportant issues. The mainstream media divert us from paying attention to the need for democracy, human rights, peace and justice by paying great attention to the theatrical affairs of party politics. The mainstream media control the narrative by getting us emotionally involved in popularity contests between prominent politicians. For example, they emit news of large, politically significant protests. They smear people who voice messages of truth and openness. Controlling the narrative is how mainstream media have always operated. This is how they have managed to take us to war. This is how they have managed to plunge democratic nations into totalitarianism. This is what they appear to be doing right now. We must wake up and stop being influenced by the narratives that are controlled by masters of propaganda. If we do not want to be oppressed, we must control our own narratives. We must learn to formulate information so that it furthers our own agendas. By referring to such things as democracy, human rights, peace and justice, we can begin to control the narrative. By switching off the TV and radio, we take control of the information that we store in our minds. We can stop assisting the narratives of oppression by avoiding the use of social media to link others to mainstream articles that, on the face of it, appear to have truthful headlines, yet disinformation embedded within the main text and serving to take away our power. We may also control the narrative if we refuse to react to corrupt authorities in predictable ways. Corrupt authorities have illegally detained Julian Assange and are holding him in inhumane conditions. We give these corrupt authorities power when we plead with them to free him. We have to stop pleading with them. We must stop reacting and putting them in a position of narrative control. We need to create our own narratives. We need to create narratives of truth, of unity, and of people power. It is clear they will not free Julian Assange. The ball is in our court. We must be more confident in our power. Courage is contagious. We will be the ones who free Julian Assange. We shouldn't depend on the mercy of the corrupt authorities because they don't have any. We need to have faith in our abilities to communicate amongst ourselves. We need to realise that we have the ability to unite. We need to take control of our own narratives. We will free Julian Assange. 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 Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Diane. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray!
Was a dark stormy night on the highway. I was thinking about a song. I'd known some good, I had known some bad. I was wondering where I might belong. Voice called out of the dark, said there's no use to lie, 'cause I have seen your type before, know the trouble in your eyes. The preacher man will tell you not to speak of such things, but you'll never fly easy in heaven till you tested out the devil's wings. Some miles down the road I wondered his words were ringing in my head, and I came across an old hotel. The band was playing for their bed. I jumped onto that stage and I played in my usual way. A voice called out of the dark, and this is what it had to say. It's awful nice to be polite, and it's sweet to hear an angel sing, but you will never know your name till you've heard the devil swing. I found myself a seat at the bar. I ordered myself a wine. A strange man sat down beside me and drew his face close to mine. He said there are tales I could relate, any tongue would long to tell. I have slept on a mountain of faith, and I dreamt in the dungeons of hell. And you can crawl to the temple, you can pray to the Lord above, but until you kiss the devil, my friend, you won't know the meaning of love. Lord, won't you save me? I'm one mortal soul. If you wanted me to be a rock, why'd you make it easy to make it so easy to make it so easy to roll? Free! Free! Julian Assange! Free! Free! Julian Assange! Free! Free! Julian Assange!
We are all Assange.